everybody, this is Riannah Avora. I'm here with Ilyra, and we are going to talk to Kisma, also known as Juliet, and Suzen.
Our topic today is the transition from traditional art to digital art. And I had originally written that as a transition from real life art to digital art. But as I started thinking about it, really it's all art. And as we talked about in our last podcast, it's a very artificial um, designation. And so, really, we're talking about more of traditional art forms and how you make that transition into the digital world and produce digital art. And so, actually, before we do the questions, can we just get a little background on each of our guests? So, we'll start with Kisma Reidling, who's also known in world as Juliet Surreal Dreaming. If you could tell us a little bit about your background, your art, and any current projects that you're involved in.
Oh, sure, thanks. Okay, so I'm what's called a visionary mixed media artist. So I have no formal art school training, though I have trained with several artists, watercolor artists, and also an oil painter for several years only. And what a visionary means is that I don't paint realism, mainly because I can't paint realism. And I have a tendency to just paint what I see inside. So I love canvas, but I also work on paper and in art journals and whatever I can get my hands on. Projects. Right now, I tend to do projects based on my daily practice. I have as an artist, I have a daily practice. So every day, for a month, I'll do one type of art form as a practice, and then if I really like it, I'll take it to the canvas. But I'm actually getting ready to give a talk on this too, called The Art of Science. But I'm working with neurons in our brain and looking at how they carry the messages to our body, both mentally, emotionally, spiritually, as well as physically. And so I'm looking at how to maybe bring that into therapeutic art. I'm a certified therapeutic art life coach, so I'm looking at modalities that will help people who have Alzheimer's or maybe Huntington's. So that's kind of a project, a pet project I'm working on right now. It's something that I doubt I'll bring to the public for quite a while, but I'm involved with a man in a Second Life named Art Blue, who does a lot of big art projects, biennales, and stuff like that. And we work not only in Second Life, but also in Open Sims. So the virtual project that I'm currently involved with is called America Art. And for the first time, we have a painters division. And so I'll be bringing in my real life paintings, transferring them in world and putting them on display in a creative build a setting, not like some fabulous builders, but a little more than you would see at an art gallery. So I'm really excited about that. And that's my big art project right now.
Okay, so we're going to go to Suzen now. If you could tell us a little bit about your background, your art, and any current projects that you're involved in.
Okay, so let's see. Background. I always drew. I always painted and did creative things, just like any kid would, right? And I think when I came into Second Life, somebody introduced me to some piece of art that I had did, which was very angry. I was so angry when I was doing this. It was an oil pastel that I scratched its entire face off, and I made a lampshade out of it. Somebody comes in and says, "Where did you get that texture? I need to know where I can get it." I'm like, "I made it," thinking they're gonna say, "Oh my God, it's awful." No, you need to meet Filthy Fluno, and I met the Filthy Fluno and Christine Schumacher, and they were early day artists way back in the day. In fact, they're both taking off quite well in the real world right now. But I grew up with something that is called synesthesia. And when I first started drawing, I drew music. So whatever I would hear, synesthesia is two or more senses that cross each other. It's pretty common among creatives, so it wouldn't be surprising if you all had a form of it. And mine is with sound and color. So sound makes shapes and has colors to it. My mom came in and said, "What are you drawing?" And I went, "The drums and the guitar." And she just kind of looked at me and went, "Okay," and walked out. It was years later that, you find out what that is. And it's kind of a cool thing to have in art.
It
So
is.
I took that and learned how to upload my art into Second Life and just did it for fun and started with COVID really moving into some heavy duty digital stuff. Got a digital drawing pad and
Ooh.
just fell in love with I never learned how to do it, so I'm just learning as I go along.
What kind did you get?
I got a Huey on.
I got one too.
Do you?
That's what I have.
It's so
Like
cool.
I use a combination of Pick Monkey,
Mm-hmm.
which I love.
Pick monkey.
And yep, and then I got Clip Studio Pro, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you can really do some crazy stuff. It's not a good photo editing program to do a photo to digital art, but it's really cool to do the layers and the extra, the way that you see it, not the way other people see it. It's got to be how you see it.
Right. And what do you have going on now? What projects?
I do the Charge Syndrome sim, and I've been doing that since September. It's not mine. There's 4 vetted charities in Second Life, and Charge Syndrome is one of them. Then there's Parkinson's, Homes for Vet, and Relay for Life.
Oh, cool.
So I got to kind of jump into that, and then she let me do the region design, and that's where I get nuts because I don't use grass.
Mm-hmm.
Screw grass. That's in the real world. Then I'm doing a SLEA sim, like a Leah,
Mm-hmm.
Second Life Endowment of the Arts, and I just started it on March 1st.
Cool.
So this is my pics and profile. It's a work in progress. I get it until July 1st, so it's always going to have something kind of fun going on.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Kisma, when did you first begin to make the transition to digital? Exactly when?
It's relatively in 2020 because I didn't have any of my art here in my real life art, my paintings and such, my mixed media. In Second Life, I had been doing creative builds and working with textures and stuff like that, and had done a few digital art pieces that were larger installations. I was involved with a couple of Leahs with Art Blue before they all went away.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fairly new for me, and to be perfectly honest, I hadn't even thought about bringing my real life art into Second Life. And then with the hitting and closures of COVID, the art studio I taught in several times a week shut down. It went out of business. It couldn't sustain.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I shut down Surreal Art Gallery in Second Life.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just, in conversation one day, just went, I'm going to bring in my art. I dug out my Kisma avatar, which I had originally had in Second Life I'm a writer, I write books. And when I first made her, it was to be part of a nano group where they were meeting in Second Life. And after that ended, I didn't log her back on, and then I realized, oh my God, I have a Kisma. I have a real name avatar here. I'm going to dust her off, and
there you go.
Profile, and here I am. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. So I would say, I think August 2020 is when I came in and did a solo show at Cultivate with my current collection.
Cool. Susan, when did you first make the transition to digital art?
Probably 2000, probably around 2012, but I didn't realize what I was doing. I was kind
None
of,
of us did, I think.
no, there was no name. Yeah, it was like a weird disease. So just learning how to use layers and learning how to use all those different, I can't even name them, but lots of different tools to change the way that your layers appear and make them more transparent, bringing things into second life. First with canvas art and now with the art install on SLEA, to me, I'm learning something for the first time, but I know everybody knows how to do this. So I don't tell all my friends what I'm learning.
So you use PicMonkey, and what was the other tool?
The other one is, let me see, Clip Paint Pro, I believe it's called. I mean, you have to have something to attach to the Huey on, so you have to get a program
Right.
that you can have freehand with, and that one works really good. Went through a whole bunch of them and thought this one was the best.
Oh, cool.
And then now I can do transparent and bring that into Second Life and do projections.
Cool.
And just a whole different ball game happening now. I wish I knew Blender, but one day that'll happen.
Yeah.
I do illustrations for a little book that a guy wrote. I think I did 3 or 4 books for him, and I do a little cartoon called Inkies. So I did those into the book. I try to bring those into Second Life, and that's how I had to learn transparent stuff. Otherwise, they just look like jagged little drawings, and they're crazy looking. So,
Juliet, what tools do you primarily use?
A paintbrush and acrylic paints and watercolors. No, I'm teasing. I work with GIMP a lot and Adobe Illustrator. I like those 2 programs. And I tried to learn Blender and even went to some Blender classes in World and got behind because I went to England for a month and it's like, forget that, trying to play catch up. So that's pretty it. I do have an iPad. So I was listening to what you were saying, Juel, about your programs that you're working with. And I even bought one of those pencils that you can write on your iPad with, but I can't figure out how to get it to work. So,
oh no.
But yeah.
There's a lot of tutorials on YouTube regarding how to use a lot of the tools that can probably help you out. But Canvas, that's cool. I prefer Photoshop actually myself, and I think Ilyra uses Photoshop as well. I'm not sure.
I do. Well, and Corel.
Corel.
So if I was
Yeah,
if I want
Corel.
to draw something, I want to do it with Corel. If I want to paint, like just hand paint something, I'm going to use Corel. Corel is Paint Shop Pro.
Okay.
And then Photoshop. Although sometimes I use Photoshop, sometimes I paint with the Photoshop brushes, and I find it's really cool.
It's hard to find one that resembles when you're actually painting on a canvas, because there's a different feel with Juliet and yourself. There's a difference between painting with your hand. It brings out a whole different creative flow than going into our digital programs.
Right.
And blending those can be pretty impressive. Or a real shit show. Sorry. Well,
Do we
all learn.
Yeah, well, see, unfortunately, I don't feel like I'm being creative or an artist unless I have paint everywhere. I have a saying. I have 2 kinds of clothes. One that has paint all over it, and the other that will have paint.
Yeah.
I just wear whatever. I don't worry about it, And so that whole process of holding a paintbrush and digging in with some wet paint, it is for me. It's my.
It's exciting just talking about it. It's like paint porn.
It is paint porn.
Yeah.
It's an endorphin rush. It's an
It
endorphin
is.
rush.
It's
They
a
And
zen because you go into a world where you don't even know that the other world exists anymore. You're in your own space.
oh
my
yeah, totally.
my
Yeah.
parents made the mistake of getting me fingerprint finger finger paint when I was a kid.
Look at you.
So paint
Yeah, we're all going to ask what
paint
you
is
did.
not good for me, okay? It was up my nose, in my ears, and all over every wall. I was painting the
God.
room with finger paint.
Oh yeah.
So
Here's how I feel like I've had a really successful day in the studio when this hasn't happened for a year, I'll be honest. But when I'm sitting at a restaurant table and the waitress comes up and goes, "Oh, I love that color." And I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "That teal on your hands." And, I've got the paint. I thought I wash off, I thought I clean up nicely, but it's always at a place where you don't realize it. That to
yeah.
me, it's like, oh God, I was really an artist today.
And screw going to the nail salon to get a manicure.
Yeah, just paint them.
You
There
can
you
just
go.
paint your own fingernails in acrylic.
Oh,
There you go.
yes, exactly. Just dip them in. And
Yeah.
Susan, what was your biggest challenge?
Definitely the Leah sim because I thought, what the hell am I gonna do? Because I don't have a plan. I let art take me where it's gonna take me.
Uh-huh.
I find that has worked for me because I used to panic all the time on what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I should have a plan. Bryn O has a plan. She always has a plan. Seek a Ghost has a plan. And it's like, hey, some people work better without a plan.
My
So my
plan
plan
is
is not
no
to have a
plan.
plan.
Yeah.
No plan.
No
And it
plan is
always works out. But learning or shadows. There was one gallery I hung at, and the guy said, "You should put a shadow behind your art." And I went, "What? In Second Life?" He's like, "Yeah." So he gave me like a little shadow thing, and I have never stopped using them. So on canvas ones, I put a very slight shadow behind it, and it makes a complete difference on how your art looks when you upload it into Second Life. Get a little shadow behind it.
Sure.
It just adds so much dimension to it.
Depth, yes.
Yeah.
wait. What do you mean when you take the photograph of it before you upload it?
Well, when you upload it, you're going to make a square prim, right? A box.
Mhm.
And on that box, you're going to flatten it so that it holds your art. And you're
Right.
going to make it just a little thick, not too much, so it represents a canvas. The
Right.
best thing to do is make it black, not the color black, but a black texture, and then slap your art on top of that. And then get a shadow prim and put it right behind there and then link the two.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Make sure they're straight because I've done them not straight and somebody's like, won't go on my wall the right way.
Oh God. Yeah.
And using a resizer, I haven't done that yet, but I'm going to start using a resizer script in my art so that when people buy it, sometimes it's too big. We like to make our art big, I find.
Yeah.
And putting a resizer in it helps people with smaller houses to fit it in there, Get it in there.
Yeah, I've sold a couple. I mean, I one show I put resizers in it, but I only sell one of each piece of my work.
Okay.
So I do exclusives. So once it sells, that's it. Nobody else can buy that in Second Life. Yeah.
Cool.
So that's how I've started and how I've been handling.
And hopefully the resizer will work with the shadow being linked to the painting. I haven't tried that yet. So
if you mesh it, see that I can help you with.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yay. Good. Then I'll catch you later and I'll ask you all kinds of questions.
If you mesh it, then it will, because you're going to make your shadow will be just a face. She's talking about actually making a shadow. Like a lot of people make a texture and they actually make a physical shadow behind it, regardless of whether you're using advanced lighting.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Like the chairs, they have some sort of a shadow prim on them, and they miss things like leg lines, but that can do with your EEP too.
Kisma, do you have a current challenge?
A current challenge, yeah. I have, my current challenge is that I have two very large collections, bodies of work that I had created for two shows in 2020 that got canceled. So I have stacks of finished canvas piled up against walls. That's my biggest
Ooh.
challenge, getting rid of them. So,
Ooh.
no, I'm being
Yeah.
stupid. But my, my biggest challenge, I think, is determining how I want to proceed in Second Life as an artist. Um, do I want to just continue forward and bring in my real life art? Do I want to continue to explore? So that's a couple of things, that I'm looking at, because I don't have the time. I don't feel I have the time probably to devote to develop a real digital art platform, because I'm too busy painting real life, and so that's a challenge right there,
Mm-hmm.
to decide, to be okay, and then to kind of look at the SL art community and go, well, okay, so uh, for the most part, it's the digital art that's valued more in Second Life than the real life art. And are you okay with that? Do you want to continue with it? Are you happy with your journey as an artist in Second Life, and that's enough for you? Do you see what I'm saying? So that's a real quandary. And then once we open back up, and we're no longer, COVID has become an easy thing moving into the past, and we start to resume, and galleries start to have shows and such.
Mm-hmm.
What does that all mean? That's a challenge in real
Yes.
life in SL. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to say I can't behave. Sorry. No, but I I wanted because I really feel like it's only in Second Life that I find that there's that very heavy distinction between painting with acrylics or painting with a digital program.
Exactly.
And I feel that that's very artificial.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, Kisma, in terms of the challenge and in terms of what do you actually personally want to devote your time to, which is very legitimate,
Mm-hmm.
But, particularly because COVID is going to get under control, we hope, and galleries are going to open. And if your focus is to really want to show your art in a gallery, physical gallery, then you would want to devote your time to the painting that you love so much. But I guess I wanted to make the point because I can't behave. I just find that in Second Life, there's always that big debate between, you know, which is more legitimate and which is more real.
They both are.
They both are. You're taking
Yes.
two extensions. You got your real life self and your Second Life self. In my case, they're exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Except we have different tools to work with in Second
That's
Life. We can fly, okay, and all kinds of other things. But the digital art, when it happens by accident, and it is real art. But I did go through the same thing you were saying, Lyra, that I went, no, that can't be real. And then COVID happened, and I realized it was pouring out of the seams of Second Life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just suddenly became a huge thing. And I think I slipped in it by accident, and now I love it.
Yeah.
But on Flickr, which I love my Flickr account, suddenly I want to marry it. I post the merge of the digital photography with my digital art or art per se that I make. That's mixed media.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wonder, I don't want to post that necessarily in a Second Life group on Flickr because it wasn't entirely done on Second Life.
right.
It might be my own art. So I post my own art without any groups attached to it. And try to, but you can do amazing things with photography that will blow your mind with going into digital. It's just, you can create your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ilyra, I think that's one of the reasons why, for so long I was a curator in Second Life and supported the artistry that I came into contact with in this virtual world. I quite frankly have been in absolute awe, of what I see and what experience with creators and digital artists such as yourself. I mean, you're 3D and 2D, and to me, it's been an amazing journey. And I feel that virtual art, digital art, is is just as valid and real as any other art form. It's just a different dynamic form of art, you know.
Yes, it's a different interface.
It's a different interface, and I believe that's why I really did get involved with Art Blue and his projects, because his whole focus has been on bringing virtual art, digital art, and showing just how real it is out to the world.
Yes.
You know, look at these incredibly talented artists. Look at what they're doing. This is valid. This is real. And I've always wanted to support that, because I may not be a good digital virtual artist, but I really appreciate it. You know, I appreciate it. So.
Yes. Susan, how has SL helped with what you do?
Going back to like 2005 and 6 when I met Filthy Fluno and realized that there was a huge art community in Second Life, that's what got me going. That really opened my eyes up to a whole new world of art. That, oh my God, to be able to do this. Second Life really launched it. 99% of the art that I sell in real life is from somebody that has seen it in Second Life, even if I don't know them. So I find this to be a really good platform, but it is hard to get your real life art out there, to the real community.
But now you sing as well. You're a singer. You sing live in SL.
Yeah, I play guitar, write songs.
And I've heard you. You're very good, actually. That has SL has probably helped you in that area as well, right?
Yeah, I'm extremely shy. I hate being on stage. Right. No, but really,
I was thinking the same thing. I was going,
I know. Yeah, but I'm very, very introverted, and I don't like to get up on the stage. But if I don't do it, the feeling I get when I don't is worse than walking up there.
Yeah.
So I have to. I feel like I have to do it, so I do. And I've been able to kind of show a little bit of art here and there with homemade tip boards and such. So I kind of had a nice little platform for that. And
have you always sang, or did you train for it or anything like that?
No, I started taking guitar when I was about 12 or 13. I took lessons for a couple months, and she asked me to sing, and I slowly stood up, put my guitar in its case, and walked home.
Mm-hmm.
Like I am not singing in front of anyone ever. And cool. Second Life helped with that because nobody could see me.
Right, it's easier to do it if nobody can see you.
Yeah,
and you can't
11
really
years
see
after
them.
That, I did my first show in 11 years of being in Second Life, a live one in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And that was terrifying. And I sang a song I wrote that morning.
Kisma, how has SL helped with your art?
It's been inspirational for sure to see some of the, first off, worlds created, the whole environments that people create is very, very inspiring. And then to come in, to bring that into the microcosm of the art that people are generating in Second Life. I've looked at it and just really thought, I want to capture those colors. As an artist, you look at, we riff off of each other all the time in the art world. We inspire each other. I mean, the great masters have done it. Every artist has done it. You get inspired by another artist. You see what they're doing, and you go, I'd like to try that like this,
exactly.
And then you start exploring and expanding, and sometimes it goes, nah, it doesn't work for me. But other times, out of that comes something very dynamic. And I think in Second Life, one of the biggest factors I've noticed as an outsider looking in, because that's how I have thought of myself for so long, even with having done the gallery for almost 5 years, was the thought of um, and you three who have been involved directly in the art community longer might be able to validate this or say, no, you're way off on that. But I tend to see isolation between artists sometimes in Second Life. It's almost like a hoarding of no, it's mine, like, and that collaborative energy isn't always readily there, and I think it's sometimes a bit of a fear, because some people are living the fantasy of being an artist because they can't be that in real life, or they don't have the means to be that, or it just isn't coming naturally for them. And then you can tell, to me, I can tell who's a real artist, because there is that openness and that sense to want to get together, that sense of wanting to share and talk and suggest things to one another. But I think for the most part I have seen that missing
I've
in the
seen
second.
both sides of it. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying, because I do see it in isolation.
Mhm.
In my case, I'm terrified to just go up to somebody and start talking, and I stay very, very much to myself. But this today with all of you has been a whole new experience of just getting together and being able to talk about it and point out those other things. So, no, you're not wrong. There's both sides to it. And I
Exactly.
think it depends in the realms that we're in. There's a huge art community, and I find that when somebody comes to look at my art, I find I shouldn't say this. I build places where I can hide. Because
I think we all do that.
I don't want to be standing around. Do you like that? I mean, that's what you feel like, even though you're not saying it. You feel like, oh, I don't want to be here at my own thing.
Yeah, you're not alone, by the way. The thing I always dreaded were openings. And I find getting into the mode of just saying, thank you so much. Because I don't know what else to say. And I feel very awkward when I have to stand there also. And I
Yeah.
probably, do you all feel that? I
Yeah,
thought,
compliments
Yes.
are not they're not conversation starters. So when somebody says, "I really love that," your artist brain wants to go, "What do you love about it? You like the colors? The
Oh,
colors?
I ask.
What drew you there?"
The composition, yeah. It's like you're under a microscope
Yeah,
Yeah,
where people are analyzing
and all you
and
can say is thank you. It's like, "Oh, here, let me tell you." Let me tell you the trauma of my childhood that created this. No.
yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
exactly. I think I did that at your place, Riannah. You were one of my first, and I did an art journal about healing about my mom, and we had a lengthy conversation about that. And I said, well, I don't think anybody's going to get this, and they're certainly not going to look at it and go, oh, wow. But it was so cathartic for me because I had just created it and put it up. And as an artist, I kind of have that feeling of, you absolutely don't have to like my art. It is my process,
Yes.
and it's there, and yeah, whatever. But I do ask people, oh, what do you like about it? What's calling to you? I'm always curious. What is calling to you?
Because it
Yeah.
obviously speaks to them.
Right.
Some of
Right.
your fans will always know that, hey, this is some crazy weird stuff, but man, it speaks to me.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's a lot of
It
that.
can be disturbing, right?
It can be disturbing.
Disturbed to calm or calm to disturbed. Who said that? I can't remember. Your art should calm the disturbed or disturb the calm.
I don't remember. I've seen
Probably Bob.
Dang it.
Bob Ross.
Bob Ross.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I love Bob Ross.
I know, right?
Uh,
No.
There are no mistakes, just happy
There
accidents.
are. Oh my
Happy
God.
little
I,
trees,
I,
happy little clouds.
little,
He was
there's no
happy
mistake.
all the time.
Happy.
He was wonderful to watch. If he had a bad day, he was just great.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
just want what he was smoking, okay? It's-
Hey, we're
It's,
back to the 70s these days.
yeah.
I-
Hey, what can we say?
all right. Susan, what advice would you give to other artists?
What I had written down was there are no mistakes in art. And I'll tell you, the reason it happened is because I spilled this wonderful yellow all over a painting that I really loved. And that yellow happened, and I went, fuck, and thought, ooh, what can I do with this? So there's no mistakes. And screw erasers. There, I'll change it. Screw erasers.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
See,
You know, I
digital art is so forgiving because you can
Yes.
erase everything so
Yeah.
easily and,
I
and undo. But anyway,
And
we could do that with
delete,
our
delete.
right, right.
I need to learn how to name my things. I have over 118,000 items in my inventory, and
ob-
117,000 of them are named object.
objects. You have to delete all objects. Delete them or go to a sandbox.
Yeah, that's gonna take years.
No, you type in the word object and search, and you delete them all.
I might.
No, we're not going to do that. Okay. Nope, she's not ready.
No, 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 no. I gotta see them first. So
I try to name everything. I'm horrible at it too. I'm
I,
horrible.
oh, yeah.
yeah.
I name them by art install, SLEA art install, or chart art install. But then I remember them. Well, I hope I do anyway.
Kisma, what advice would you give to other artists?
To don't stop. Don't stop. Keep doing art, even when you think that you're no good at it, you just do it. If it's in your soul, if you have that creative urge, then do it.
Just do it.
Just do it, really,
Do it.
honestly. And finish something.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one, because I think, I taught in a studio, but I teach on Zoom. And so many students, though, I started this, and it's like, well, then finish it.
Come back to it later too. I mean, why not?
Yeah,
You get a different perspective when you walk away.
you do get a new perspective, but at the same time, if you're going to walk away from it for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, it's no longer valid. It doesn't have your energy flow in it anymore. So be willing to gesso over it and start again. And that's the other advice I tell all artists, new artists. If you do something and you don't like it, our friend is called gesso. Use it. It's a primer for your canvas, and it whites out. So it just takes what you have there, and in mixed media, it puts it clouds everything. So it puts a layer behind, and then
It's
you
nice.
add next layer and create for yourself, nobody else. Don't create for anybody else, really, and don't compare yourself to anybody else.
That
Yeah.
is the best advice I think
Yeah.
you can give.
Mhm.
Don't be like a teenager looking at all the teen magazines. Do your
Right.
own magazine.
Right.
Yeah.
Compete with yourself.
Yeah.
Don't make yourself crazy, because then it's not your art anyway if you're looking at everybody else's and trying to do or be them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's a bad thing to do.
It is.
I try not to look at other people's art until mine is done.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm afraid that I'm going to get inspired. But as Juliet said earlier, that's what we do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We do get inspired by each other. And artists keep saying, that's okay to do that. It's like, no, I feel like I do the same thing then. And you don't. Nobody
No.
can do what you do.
That's right.
No, well, there's a difference between seeing something, getting inspired by it, and doing it your way.
Right.
And
Make it your own.
Right, exactly.
Make
Yeah.
it your own, yes.
Oh, it's easy to duplicate, I mean, it's easy to duplicate any artist practically if you want, but why?
Do it your own
How?
way.
That would
Yes.
be very difficult. Well, I would think it would be really hard to duplicate another artist. I don't know what kind of tools they're using or what kind of brush or the size of it or the color exact that they mixed.
Well, in a way, as a teacher, when you're teaching and you're taking someone from start to finish on a canvas, you're showing them the tools to use and you're demonstrating for them. And often your student finished product will be a slightly different or a dramatically different reflection of what you just taught them to do.
Yeah.
You know? But as a teacher, that's something you own right away, that this painting you create in a classroom environment, if you have 20 people in the class, they're all painting the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
But
going
they're
to be,
doing it each different.
that's right. They're choosing their own colors. They're making their
Yeah.
face, whatever, different. So it's a fascinating
Beauty of
process.
it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's really cool to be in a room of artists and everybody working on the same thing. That's like a still life class. You're in a still life class. Everybody's looking at something, and everybody's drawing.
Naked man.
It's gonna. I know. And how does he not get an erection?
I
That's
know.
what I want to know. How do those guys not get erections?
They don't look at any. They don't go up there and stare at you in the eye and go, "Hey, mama,
But they must
hate my product or what?"
something, right?
Yeah.
Because men are so easily aroused.
I find drawing women are so much more fun because there's more circles on them.
There are.
I like circles. Yeah.
You're funny.
And on that,
Bad. Sad girl.
So, Riannah, can we ask you what advice would you give?
To understand that certain parts you're going to excel at and certain parts you're not. Focus on what you're good at, but keep working at the things that you're not so good at. And take off all your inhibitions, remove all your inhibitions if possible, and just you really have to put yourself out there. It's like standing in a room full of people naked. Really, it is.
yes.
And you're the only one that doesn't have any clothes on.
Yeah.
So, but that's, just do it. Yeah, like Kisma said, just do it. And get over the nervousness. Try to. But you'll still always have nervousness, I think. But, yeah.
It's built
just
therapy.
do your thing. Don't let anybody tell you, oh, that's too much of this, too much of that. I mean, take it in consideration, sure, but do your own thing.
Piece.
Say what?
I said, go paint your own piece if you don't like these colors.
Exactly. So do your thing. That's my advice.
It's your thing now.
There you go. And have fun. Have fun with it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That's the
Play
golden
like an
rule.
8-year-old.
Right.
That's the golden rule. Have fun. Have fun. If you're not enjoying it, you're doing something wrong.
True.
That's very, very true. It should never be. It should never be work.
Should
Or
never
you-
be forced, never be, feel like, oh my God, I wish I didn't have to do this. No, that's not how it should be.
No, that's what real jobs are for.
That's what real jobs are.
Or other jobs, I should say.
Yeah.
It is a real job, and it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
But not in a bad way. I mean, don't you wake up and you want to get creating?
Mhm.
Oh, you want to go out there right as soon as the sun comes up. It's like, is it warm enough to go outside yet? Nope, it's still snow on the ground. Yeah, I love painting outside.
Yeah. Well, I think the best thing for us to do is just take just a pad of paper and go outdoors and use that to work on, because otherwise we start to think it has to be perfect. Shift into a different mindset of thinking,
Yeah.
oh, this is real. And when when we have just a pad of watercolor paper or whatever, or mixed media paper, and we just go outside and sit somewhere and we start doodling our ideas, things come through, and anything we doodle, we can recreate.
Yeah.
We can
And you can
recreate.
do art that way.
Yeah.
Make happy mistakes.
Oh, happy mistakes.
Yes. I actually have a folder in my inventory called Doodles.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they're just little things that, I just had a thought or an idea, and I'm like, I don't really know, how to put that into something I'm working on now, so I'll just save it for later and put it in my doodle folder.
Yeah.
Right. Come back to it and see if it inspires you again.
Mm-hmm.
Or waking up the muse, because sometimes the muse leaves me standing there with a paintbrush in my hand. And right then at that moment, she leaves. And it's like, well, what the hell am I supposed to do with the rest of this painting?
Right.
Where you go? Oh, I want to write a song now.
Then you need to come and take my muse workshop. It's March 20th.
Oh.
Cool.
So
You can
sometimes,
all of you can. If you ever want to come and play with me in a Zoom, you're my guest. You are my guest.
That'd be awesome. Thanks.
thank
That
you.
would be cool.
It would be very fun to do that. So see what everybody, and then we could do a little group exhibit somewhere. This is what we created. What's that song from Cats? I can do things. I can do better. What's that song?
I'm going to draw a loincloth and make it look like there was something over it.
Oh my
This one's
goodness.
called Dancing Cloth.
Nancy Claus. Oh my God, that's too funny. I love it.
I want to thank Kisma and Susan for joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
Fun.
Okay, we're going to bring this up to a close. And thank you guys for hanging out with us today. And be sure to get out and support the artists of us
It says right here in Second Life, you can't do that. So why are you trying to make me do that?
Oh my God. This is
That's
gonna
the
be
best film, man.